All right. Welcome to another live episode of geekoutdoors.com. So, this week got, as always, some interesting bit of news. And so today we're going to be talking about three things as usual. First, we're going to talk about how Roomba is actually stealing your data. Secondly, we're going to get into some more details of the Galaxy Note 8. And then finally, we're going to be discussing the really hot, I can't believe it, the Emoji Movie. And of course, if there's some more discussions, we're going to get into our bonus round as well. And so I'll see that some people are on here right now. Let's see if I can see who's on there. Thanks for joining. I can't see right now because I'm actually on my phone. Hey Gaza, hey, what's going on? Hi from UK. Gaza, thanks for making it this week. I know you said you missed it last week, but thanks for making it this week. And I'm on my phone as usual, so I can't really see anybody else is on unless you comment on there, or maybe I haven't figured out how to do that. And so let's go ahead and start with the first bit of news. On July 24th, iRobot CEO, which is the actual company that makes Roomba, and if you're not familiar with what Roomba is actually a robotic device. As you can see here, it's a cleaning device, so this robot just goes around your household or your place of business and it automatically cleans for you. And so the CEO is Colin Angle, and then on July 24th, he made an article or did an article with Reuters talking about smart homes, how the future of smart homes is going to be where they're heading. And I'll talk more about that after this. But he gave a lot of interesting thoughts on smart homes and how they will play a role in people's households in the future. And one of the things that he mentioned was that he had just made Roomba compatible with Amazon's Alexa voice assistant in March of this year. And as you know, the Amazon voice assistant, it actually uses a lot of artificial intelligence. And obviously, it is collecting your information when you're speaking, and then it uses the AI to get the information that you want. And so he mentioned that they could reach a deal to share its maps for free with customer consent to one or more of the big three in the next couple of years. So the big three being Amazon, Apple, and Google. And so what came out of this was a lot of people, I would think rightfully so if you read the article, a lot of people understood this as Roomba will sell the data that these Roomba machines, or iRobot will actually sell the data that these Roomba machines have to these other companies. And so how the Roomba robot works is it actually maps out your environment. Okay, so it collects all this data so it knows where to go. And that makes sense, right? So otherwise, how would the robot know what places to clean? But the thing is, it is collecting a diagram of your house. So it knows how your house is laid out. So that's pretty personal data. And on top of it, some versions of the Roomba, like the higher end models, they will actually take pictures of your environment as well. Those are some of the things that the Roomba uses to process the data and then to function. And so that leads into the whole privacy concern thing. And a few days later, on the 28th, Roomba CEO, Angle, quickly dispelled the rumors or interpretations that they would sell this data. And so he's saying that first things first, iRobot would never sell your data. So their mission is to make sure your home is a cleaner home and that customers control the data and how it is sent. And so this data, it is sent to the cloud, but they're saying it's not used in a way for commercial purposes, i.e. to sell it to other companies. Now, this isn't the first time that companies, specifically technology companies, have gotten into trouble concerning privacy. Actually, it's an ongoing thing. We all know about Google. We all know about Facebook, Apple as well. And also, the most recent one last year was obviously Microsoft with Windows 10. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to stop doing this. Okay, so as soon as there's backlash, in this case, people calling them out on this. Hey Rose, good morning. How's it going? Good morning, Rose. And as soon as people call these companies out very vocally, of course, in terms of a company branding, especially if it comes from the CEO, they really need to like basically calm people down. But behind the scenes, they're still gonna do what they need to do for their business, And this is like, man, like I didn't really think about, most of the times when I'm thinking about these Roomba robots, cleaning your homes, the last thing that I'm thinking about in my mind is it collecting your data. I didn't really think about that, but it does have this, and it is sending it back to the cloud. And they're saying, like I said, it's not used for any commercial purposes, but once again, it could be, and once again, we're not entirely sure in what ways the data is being used other than what it's supposed to do. Now, the mapping and navigation information is recorded through a software they call vSLAM. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And so the Roomba 900 series is more advanced. It's Wi-Fi enabled. And if you didn't know like the history of Roomba, I didn't know, but they started in the 1990s, and they originally started as a company who worked with the military. They were the ones who built that robots that basically went in and took care of the bombs. They were the ones who basically go inside and made sure a bomb blew up with only the robot, or it would try to, I don't think it would try to like disconnect the bombs, but that's what those machines originally were for. And then later on, iRobot sold their military portion, their divisions, and then they went into the consumer division. And so they have quite a bit of experience. And this gets into the whole smart home thing, and a lot of times we are aware that a lot of our data is being collected all the time. And in my opinion, I'm not as concerned about the Roomba robot collecting your data. I'll tell you why. Now, the whole idea of a smart home, what is a smart home? Well, just think about all the smart devices that you have in your homes right now, right? Alexa, that's definitely a smart device. Nest, your thermostats, that's a smart device, which is now owned by Google. Apple's Apple TV, that is kind of a smart device, but it could understand what you're saying. And then also Google Home as well, that is a smart device. And if you wanted to get like more, I guess, in general areas, your refrigerators are smart device. Hey, good morning, Lance. How's it going? Your refrigerators are smart devices. Your microwaves are smart devices. And, there's different levels of intelligence to them. But just think about it this way. In the United States, and I think in most developed countries, you'll see refrigerators with internet connections, right? Like the Samsung refrigerators. They have a screen and they have an internet connection, and they could talk to other smart devices if you paired it that way, And so why would they have such smart devices? Or even if you think about self-driving cars as well. Well, the reason is it's more convenient, right? Technology is going to keep going forward. So if you think about all the conveniences that we have, it's mainly because of technology. Like, for example, you could do your online banking now through your phone, right? Before, you would have to physically go to the bank, or you would have to go to the ATM machine. And so that's a level of convenience that we didn't have 20 years ago. But for that convenience, you are giving up some things, mainly your privacy. So you're inside your home, and all these machines with AI, and right now they're very basic AI, but they will get more and more advanced, especially with devices like the Alexa, with Google Home, and or whatever else that they have, right? And so, and then your thermostat as well, correct? And so with all of that being said, as more and more time goes on, and we've already seen this in, like, for example, Bill Gates' home, that's a super duper smart home. So in the future, we will even have more conveniences. If you know something about Bill Gates' home in Seattle, if it's in Seattle, it's definitely in Washington, I'm sorry. It's near the Microsoft headquarters. Nobody's seen the interior. They just showed like what it could look like. I mean, he has technology in there where depending on what room you walk to, there's music that follows you through AI, and then also the temperature changes as well. So really cool things like that will be part of modern homes in the future. But at the same time, it's going to be collecting tons and tons of data, and it's going to be having a lot more control over you. So for example, even right now, if you have home security devices, you can control that remotely through your phone. So if people were able to hack into your systems, or there was a malfunction, you could literally be stuck inside your own homes, and even your thermostat could be controlled once again. Now, Gaza Imp did have a point. He stated that solution, lock everything down to the land. In my opinion, there's no need for such intrusive tech. I would agree, Gaza. There are ways to lock it down, but at the same time, in some devices, you can't get into them. You know what I mean? It's not like you could just log into your refrigerator and change the settings, okay? Of course, there are settings in the panels with some things like your microwave, or your thermostat, unless you had the technical knowledge or at least did some research to do it. For most people, the majority of people, they're not going to do that. They're just going to put the devices in their homes. Everything convenes, even like the smart lights, right? They know when to change their lighting levels as well. And so this isn't like really a rant about privacy, because there's not much you can do to it, because it's part of our modern life. It's part of all our technologies, And so that is the concern. And I know these companies, they're fully aware of it, especially when it comes to things like self-driving cars, and especially your homes. Because if a lot of people were to, let's just be realistic, if a lot of people were to die because of their smart AI devices, trust me, they would be in serious trouble. They would go out of business. And so all these companies, from Google, Apple, Amazon, iRobot, that's the first place they invest their money, in those areas, to make sure that people feel safe, right? And to make sure it's tested as best as possible. But anybody who's ever worked in the technology and software space, you never release a product that's 100%. You always release the first version, and then you improve it as you go. Lance is saying, in an episode of Mission Robot, they hijacked the person's smart home and made it all go crazy, chasing them out so they could use the home as a base to do bad things. Yes, Lance. And there's been a lot of sci-fi movies and sci-fi shows that's hinted at this. And honestly, it truly is possible. And like I said, no software, no AI is perfect, and once again, when you release software, normally the first version of the software always has problems. I mean, look, I've worked in the IT industry. 99.9% of the times when we release version 1 of our software, even after as much thorough testing as we had, beta testing and stuff, there's still problems. And so when you release the software, even production systems, things are breaking all the time. That's why you have so many people, that's why you have so many services and companies fixing things all the time. And so this is not going to be any different. And so God's name is say, LOL, ping across the web for open ports for Whirlpool Smart Fridge and use the default authentication details. Joy. Yeah, and that's another thing, guys. I'm glad you mentioned that, because let's take for example, the IoT, Internet of Things, right? That's part of the whole thing, right? Like your Wi-Fi, your routers and stuff, right? We've all heard of them having Linux, of course, Linux kernel, and we've all heard of them having security issues, because it's like, once again, for the general user, right? They're not going to know how to go into their router passwords, their router, and change really, like some of them don't even change their passwords, right? Or they'll pay somebody to do it, but they don't remember how to do it. Or maybe like if you're a router, which most routers, they're not like computers where, hey, the new patch came out, let me go ahead and upgrade. Even though in your router you can log in and look for new updates, that's not always the case. And so once again, a lot of these software that's built into these appliances and these smart home devices, you honestly do not have as much control as you would on your computers, as you would on your smartphones. And whenever the versions of the operating systems that are running these smart devices, they don't get upgraded very often, okay? There's not an automatic update. For some devices there are, but for most of them, they're not, And so you can have an outdated version with security flaws. Let's go back to the example of a router, right? It could have an older version of the Linux kernel. Let's take that for example. And then those patches that came out later to fix those vulnerabilities are not in that smart device, So that's just one of the things. And then with what Roomba is doing, you know, I think, you know, they're really ahead of the times, because if you know, every single one of these companies I mentioned, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook, they're all investing heavily in artificial intelligence, because that's where we are heading. I mean, we're already doing it right now. And going back to what I said earlier, I'm not as concerned about the Roomba collecting your data, because honestly, that's not the device to me that is the most concern. The device that's the most concern is our smartphones. There's no single device that collects more of your personal data from so many ways than your smartphones. That device knows where you're at. That device knows your usage habits. That device knows when you go to sleep, when you wake up. It knows where you go for your entertainment. It knows what type of videos you watch. It knows what websites you visit. Your smartphone is the single point of entry for all your personal data. It probably has more personal data than anything else, you know. So that is what I think about a lot. And unfortunately, once again, you only have so much control over that, because, you know, like for example, if I'm doing YouTube right now, right, I have to agree to certain things in order to use YouTube, okay? Or on some of your apps, you have to agree to use some of their location settings, okay? That's the only way that's gonna work. I mean, something as simple as Pokemon Go, right? It required the app to know what your location is. But while you're having fun playing Pokemon Go, it knows where you're going, it knows your daily habits, so they could collect data to then sell you ads. You know, I mean, that's part of the business model. And so, yeah, so what Roomba announced today, or announced a few days ago, it's kind of concerning, but then again, it's not. You know, I mean, if I really think about everything that's going on, especially with our smartphones, that's just where we're heading. Let me see some of the notes. Rose is saying, I guess I should keep my old appliance as long as I can. I use a Vitamix blender and less electronics as well big. Rose, that Vitamix is awesome. I want one. It's kind of expensive, but it's pretty awesome. Gaza Imp is saying Peerism are working on a mobile OS that is more secure and private for consumers. You know, Gaza, there have been secure smartphones as well, right? And there are even secure services that you can purchase on it. But how secure is it? You know, because once again, there's going to have to be some personal data collected. There's going to have to be some data transmission, okay, even though they can encrypt that as well. And so even though that is better than not having it, most people can't afford those services. And even if it is an open source service, I'm glad that they are available as well. I'm not familiar with Peerism, but you know, if you get like these really super high-end phones, the premium phones that are made out of gold and stuff, even though the technology, I can't, like Vertu, right? That's a very high-end, they make these high-end Android smartphones, which are really outdated, but they're like thousands of dollars because they're made of really high-end materials. But they also offer 24/7 concierge services, including securing all your data that is sent to and fro. But you know, it's still better, but that is not something that's available to the masses, okay? So I think I'm glad that we have those options, but unfortunately, you know, we're still gonna have to share some of our data even if we don't want to. Hey, what's going on? Louis Angel 237. Hi, Geek Outdoors. Thanks for awesome videos. I use Linux Mint 18.2 my HP Pavilion 2006 laptop. It works nicely. At the end of this year, I will get a new laptop, 11 year and a bit. Cheers from Peru. All right, cheers. Thanks, Luisa. Thanks so much for watching the videos. And we'll talk about Linux later on if anybody wants to talk about that. But that's the first thing, you know, with this whole Roomba news. To me, it's not surprising. And at the same time, their response, it makes sense for him to respond quickly and in that way, because that's really not good for their brand. Even though they're going to do it anyway. And all these companies are doing it anyway. And so, you know, it's kind of like, you know, where they're doing it. let's just put that out of the way. Okay, so smart homes, they are the future, and specifically robots. And more important than the robots, honestly, is actually the artificial intelligence. And so we're going to see more and more of this we're going to see more and more robots. Even though people don't think of Roomba as a robot, I don't think the majority of people think of them as robots. They think of these humanoid things, but they are robots, okay? And so we're going to see more of these type of robotic devices with advanced AI. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to see what comes out. And so the second bit of news is the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. We actually got more specs, more rumors, because now it looks like, these are just renders, by the way. These are renders of the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. And honestly, it looks like a Samsung Galaxy S8 or S8 Plus, just much larger. But once again, these are renders. So what they're saying is, it will be released or announced on August 23rd, and in certain parts of the world, they'll be released in September and also October as well. And it looks like it's going to cost about $850 in the US, and in for euros, 749 euros, and in Australian, $1,349. Wow. And I feel really bad for people who live in other countries because they have to pay these enormous taxes. It's kind of crazy, you know. I forgot, what is it? Is it VAT tax? I can't remember in the UK. But y'all have to pay so much more money for these devices. I mean, over $1,000. That's just for the phone, and that's just the base model. It's kind of ridiculous if you ask me. Okay, so the Galaxy Note 8. So here are some of the rumored specs. It will have a 4K resolution, a true 4K resolution. So what that probably means, because the Sony Xperia was actually the first Android phone that had a 4K resolution, but it wasn't 4K all the time. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is going to be 4K all the time, because that's really going to burn its battery to process all that resolution. It's going to have a 6.4-inch screen, and it's going to be using the same infinity display type design that the Samsung Galaxy S8 has, which is beautiful, as a matter of fact. And let's look at some other specs. It's going to have a 18.5.9 display ratio. So as you remember, when the S8 and before that the LG G6 came out, because of their bezel-less design, they don't have the standard 16:9 aspect ratio. It's actually a lot longer. It's 18:5. And so I'm not sure like how many applications are going to take advantage of this. They do have some applications on the S8 that do take advantage of it, but you know, most of your content is going to be cut off with some you know, some boxes, letterboxing on the sides. And so what are some other things? Well, it's got to come in a lot of different colors, and the processor, of course, if you know anything about the Note 8, it is going to be basically the most technologically packed hardware, period, you know, especially in the Android world. And you know, once again, when you compare Android to Apple, even though hardware specs they are better, but there's so many, I would say, so many optimizations that Apple is able to do. So even if the Note 8 has way more hardware specs, the software still runs really fast on the Apple iPhone. Okay, so they're saying it will have a dual lens camera setup, just like the iPhone and just like the LG. But it might be a 12 megapixel, 13 megapixel. And then the processor itself, it's going to have the new Exynos processor. And what's the number of it? Exynos 8895 in other countries outside of the US. And then in the US, it will have a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. And then they're saying it will come with 4 gigs to 6 gigs of RAM. But there's also rumors that there will be a Samsung Galaxy Note 8 Emperor Edition. Man, I love that name. So it looks like this will probably just be in the Chinese markets and other Asian markets. Yeah. And so they're saying with the Emperor Edition, it will have 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of inbuilt storage. We're not sure what the price will be yet because it's rumors. And so for the base models, you could start at 46 gigs, 64 gigs to 128 gigs. So bottom line, the Note 8 is going to be a powerhouse. You know, it's going to have a 3300 milliamp battery as well. And you know, Samsung really needed to recover from the Galaxy Note 7. If you remember that was a debacle. You know, so if you remember the Galaxy Note 7, they had Note 7s that were just blowing up, you know, like burning up, you know. So that was really, really bad. But they recovered, their Samsung Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus sales did really well. And now with the Note 8, oh man, they're gonna take it to another level, and I'm positive they're not gonna have any more quality issues, because that really cost them billions of dollars, you know. And in terms of like smartphones, in my opinion, I'm not a huge phablet user, you know, because that is a pretty large phone, but having it bezel-less will help a lot. But what's great about the Note 8 is that it gives you so many features that I think are really useful. I mean, having an S Pen on that big screen, that makes a lot of sense. And having so much hardware in there, you know, you don't have to worry about whether or not your phone's gonna be powerful enough. And also, if you think about future-proofing, I would say the Note series, they usually last a lot longer because of the fact that they have so much hardware involved. And there were even rumors that there might be a foldable version of it as well, but I don't see that happening. I'm seeing that, if you didn't know, Samsung and other companies like Sony, you know, they both do OLED type screens, and they can make them really thin. And so hopefully we'll see bendable type phones maybe as early as next year. You know, they've been talking about this for a long time. And the primary companies that are focused on that is first Sony and Samsung, especially Samsung. You know, they produce a lot of OLED screens for other companies, and so they have the manufacturing and also the capital behind it to produce foldable phones in mass. And so, you know, I'm really like, and I've said it many times before, I'm not really impressed or even excited about a lot of the phones that come out, specifically on the high end. I'm more interested in the mid-range and lower end phones. But when it comes to the high end, the Samsung Galaxy Note, the Samsung Galaxy S series, I would say normally it catches my attention more than others. With the iPhone, it's, you know, it's meh. You know, I mean, that's pretty much it. I kind of know what to expect. And that's nothing against the iPhones. It's just that when I'm thinking about pushing the boundaries, trying out new things with their hardware, Apple is not the first company that I think about. For me, I normally think of Samsung being the first company. And that, with all these specs and stuff, and with everything that's surrounding it, I'm pretty excited about it, you know. I'm not going to pick it up because I can't afford that. That's too expensive. And once again, I don't want to carry around a big phablet. And so hopefully this does really well. But God, that's really, really expensive. And so, I don't know. I mean, if y'all had any thoughts on this, I mean, is this something that you would consider buying? Or are you just okay with your existing phone? Like right now, I still have my LG G5. Oh, I don't plan on upgrading it anytime soon. Maybe I'll upgrade it when there is a phone with better cameras, because I do use my phone heavily for video, as you can see, and also for some pictures. So it would be nice to have a phone with better cameras and video quality on there. So that's it for the Galaxy Note 8. It's going to be a definite powerhouse. And I'm really digging this Emperor Edition, man, with all that power. Hopefully, unlike previous versions of Samsung Galaxy, you know, their software's been getting better. Hopefully, once again, you know, I hope the performance is top-notch, you know. So, Gaza Imp is saying, do you think we should move away from phones and focus on personal communication devices, as many people don't make many voice calls and tend to consume data to communicate? So, Gaza, I'm not really sure what you mean by that. What do you mean by personal communication devices? I'm not really sure if you could answer that. And Lance says, I kept my S4 for a long time before getting an S7. I like to get as much time I can before upgrading. Yeah, Lance, that's where I'm at as well. You know, I mean, I like to use my phones until it breaks, because prior to this LG G5, I had the original HTC One, the M9, you know, the original one, you know, the one that was the most beautiful Android phone at the time. And it was a while before I upgraded. And normally I don't upgrade my phone until it either breaks or until basically the features on it doesn't serve me anymore. So like, for example, the LG G5, it does everything that I want, but I want better video quality and camera quality, you know, so mainly video quality. And so I might upgrade because of that, but I'm not sure what I want to get, because even though I like the Samsung Galaxy hardware, I don't like their software. And at least here in the United States, unless you buy an unlocked version, I don't like the fact that they really lock down their software where it's hard for you to put ROMs, customized ROMs on there, So guys are saying they call them mobile phones best, but people use Twitter, WhatsApp, hence communication device, not phone. Yeah, guys, I agree with you, and we're already doing that anyway. Not many people make phone calls anymore. They will use these communication apps, as you said. WhatsApp, here in the United States, WhatsApp is very popular. Of course, Facebook Messenger, but Facebook owns both those companies. And then if you're in Japan or in Asia, you would use Line. And then if you're in China, WeChat. And so people use those way more than calling somebody. Who even calls anybody? Or they'll use other communication services like Snapchat or Instagram, even though it's not exactly instant, or they'll use things like FaceTime or Google Hangouts, right? And so there are many different ways that we communicate now, but unfortunately it's not as a phone, even though it's a phone. And it's so funny that you mentioned that, because this makes me think so much of Blade Runner. Back in the 80s, they had video call phones, and even before that, 2001: A Space Odyssey, they predicted all of this long ago. And even though we're not there yet, it's kind of uncanny how accurate they were, and I think about 2001: A Space Odyssey a lot, because that was so far ahead of its time concerning first artificial intelligence with AI, concerning the technologies that they were using to communicate, concerning interstellar travel, which we will be doing, which we are doing in some points right now, but not very far right now, and also the whole idea of time and space, because if you think about, Einstein's, theories of special theory of relativity and general theory of relativity. When you think about space and time, where you could just bend it, right? That's freaky, And I think about Star Trek and all these other things. Anyway, yes, communication's changing rapidly, and so Rose is thinking, I'm thinking to downgrade my cell phone to make simple and smaller phones. Cell phones are just too big now. Yeah, Rose, it's funny, I don't think, sometimes we don't think about it, right? Because we're used to it, right? Because you remember when the first smartphones came out. But even before that, flip phones. I still have a flip phone, as a matter of fact, And the smartphones, the first ones, like the iPhones, right? Or even the first Apple phone. Not Apple phone. The first Android phone, they were like 3.5 inches, And those were considered pretty big compared to our flip phones back then. But now with these phones, like 5.2 inches, that's I guess that's a regular size now, But even with my LG G5, when you hold it too long, your hands hurt, your wrist hurts. It's because it's heavy, And then I think for a lot of women, if they carry like a large phablet phone, like a Galaxy Note, they will put it in their purses and stuff. And so when you try to put it in your pocket, it's not comfortable. Or sometimes you have in your pocket, you sit and it cracks the phone. And so anyway, yeah, so it's really unwieldy. I don't know. And so I really can't wait for smartphones when we have, like I said earlier, when the bendable phones, when those technologies are out and in a consumable form. I cannot wait. And we've seen this in sci-fi movies before, where you would have wearable technologies that wraps around your clothes. Lance, got to go for now. Thanks for the cast. Go. Thanks, Lance. Thanks for joining once again. We'll see you next time. And yeah, so Galaxy Note 8, that is one phone that I am excited about. I'm not going to get one. I can't afford it. But anyway, I don't even want to carry around a phablet. But it's nice to see that there are still manufacturers that are pushing the edge of technology. And for me, a perfect phone, an ideal phone, would be hardware-wise something like the Note 8, okay? In a size that maybe for me, with a bezel-less screen, 5.2 inch would work with the bezel-less screen. And I want something like the Google Pixel phones in terms of software. Because with those, I get the latest version of Android, the quickest, okay? And I don't have all this Samsung bloatware and all the security services that they offer that I don't want, Bixby, things like that, okay? So that would be my ideal phone. So who knows? It's probably out there already. Just put a different ROM on it, but I don't want to have to go do that. So Clayton, hey, what's going on, Clayton? How much did I miss? Not much, Clayton. Well, it depends on what you enjoy watching, but I talked about the Roomba stealing and selling your data. Not stealing your data, but selling your data, supposedly. And then right now we're talking about the Galaxy Note 8, but I'm done with that. So now let's get on to the final news I wanted to talk about. Is actually the Emoji Movie. It's the Emoji Movie. It currently has a Rotten Tomato score of 6%. And just about a day ago, it had a Rotten Tomato score of 0%. Which is not too surprising. You know, when I first heard that they were making an Emoji Movie, I was like, okay, this has to be a joke. But then I would see stuff like on Walmart. They were selling these, I guess, emoji toys. Wait, well, the pages are loading up. There it is. They're selling emoji toys. I'm like, what? What is this? It's actually emoji toys, and you can get the poop emoji as well. And then I thought, okay, this has still got to be a joke, even though I saw the toys. And then when I saw the emoji trailer, I'm like, oh man, this is real. They're actually making an Emoji Movie. And you know, as expected, the ratings have been really bad. But Sony is the company behind this, and as you remember, Sony also did the other, I guess, game-related or technology-related movie called Pixels. You remember that with Adam Sandler, and that got horrible ratings. And you know, the Emoji Movie, I'm definitely not going to go watch it, but I was actually like, first I thought it was a joke, and then when I actually saw the trailer, I'm like, wow, they're really making this. And now that it's actually out, then and the reviews are absolutely horrible. I don't know, maybe I might go watch it just to see how bad it is, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be bad, but the likelihood of it's going to be bad, especially if you think about Pixels, it's going to be there. And so if you didn't know what this movie is about, this movie is about emojis and how emojis are really only supposed to have one type of emotion. And so the main emoji is Jing or meh. That is the emoji, you know. And then there's other emojis like happy emojis, and there's also he goes on this adventure because he's an outcast, so he meets other emojis like jailbreak. And as you know, in iPhone you jailbreak your phones, and then they're going through the whole smartphone app world. Okay, Facebook apps, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and then the whole point of this movie is they are in this whole phone. They're in a smartphone, obviously. They're in this app emoji world, and the story outside of it is this kid really likes this girl, and he's trying to figure out which emoji to use. And Gaza mentioned if it's anything like the Sausage Party, then I'll watch it. You know, Gaza, I was really pleasantly surprised with Sausage Party. I thought it was gonna suck, and it was a really good movie. I enjoyed Sausage Party. And you know, similar to Sausage Party, you remember in Sausage Party, their whole goal, their dream was to get chosen, right? And then to get taken out of the supermarket to go, I guess, to like food heaven or something, right? But instead, it was an absolute nightmare. Now with Emoji Movie, it's something similar. So the whole goal of the emojis is to be chosen as an emoji, the chosen. And then they're sent to the clouds, which is the screen of the smartphone. And that's their whole purpose in life. And so this movie, from what I'm getting, and I haven't seen it, but it sounds very similar to other movies. It's about, hey, it's okay to be different. Be yourself, be authentic. And this is a theme that's used in a lot of movies. And this movie, when I saw the trailer and then when I read the reviews, it's very similar to Wreck-It Ralph, which which I absolutely love. Wreck-It Ralph is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time, and they did that movie right. And then another movie I would think about that's similar to this is Inside Out, and also Zootopia. So all of those movies, they follow that very similar theme of you could be different. You know, it's okay to be different. It's okay to be yourself, you know. And so that's the whole theme of the movie. And, you know, like critic ratings, honestly, they don't really matter. Because even though Tomato Meter is giving a 6%, right now, Emoji is on track to beat out Dunkirk. Okay, so Dunkirk has already passed $100 million. This is the second week it released, and it looks like the Emoji Movie is at 28 million, tracking to hit 28 million for the weekend. And the Emoji Movie cost only $50 million to make, which is relatively inexpensive for movies in the modern times. Okay, most movies are now 80 million, 100 million above, okay? And that's not even including the marketing costs, which can be sometimes as much as the movie costs or more. And so this movie costs 50 million to make, and once it releases worldwide, it will make its money back. And also the sale of merchandise, toys, cross promotions, and then when also it comes out on home, you know, on disc, on streaming services, it's going to be a money maker for Sony. But it seems like it's an absolutely horrible movie. And so what do you guys say there? Oh yeah, Hollywood is making so many crappy movies. What happened to movies like Shrek? The only good movie that seems good now is Dunkirk. It was great. Yeah, you know, I'm sorry, Rose said that. You know, it's part of their business model. You know, I mean, we talked about this on the last episode about, that's why I really love what Netflix is doing. Netflix, Amazon, Google, you know, Google's just starting, Hulu, you know, they are able to take chances and risks, you know, especially in Netflix. But I think as more and more studios are used to creating their own content, and then they've built up a lot of the market share, they've gained more money, then I think eventually they'll end up like all the other big, you know, Hollywood or international production studios. That's my opinion. So right now, just think of what Netflix, Amazon, and even Apple, you know they're going to get into this. They're going to have their own content as well, own movies and TV shows. You'll see it. They're like, to me, they're like startups now, okay? They're like startups in the whole entertainment movie production industries, okay? Because once again, you know, I mentioned this in the last episode, that's a huge money maker. There's so much money to be made there, and you can make money years and years down the line as long as you own the rights to that intellectual property, you know, and also the merchandising rights as well. So it's a big marketing sales funnel. It's absolutely immense. And so Rose is saying, man, okay, what was great, Gaza? Yeah, it was great. Sausage Party, yes, that was great. And you know what, Rose, I absolutely love Shrek. It was fun. The later movies, not so much. You know, I even really enjoyed Kung Fu Panda as well. And so Rose is saying, Man in the High Castle, Rain, Soul Survivor. Yeah, those are all on Amazon, right? Man in the High Castle, I think that is on Amazon. There's also Stars as well. And Stars, if I remember correctly, is owned by Amazon as well. So all of these companies, they have their hands in many areas. They own a lot of these other companies as well. And so that's the next big push for all of these technology companies, as you could see. They really want to get into the whole entertainment space, you know, like these other production companies. And they also really want to get into the home space, you know, just as I mentioned earlier, with Alexa, with Google Home, with Apple TV. They want to get into your living room. They want to get into your movie theaters. Okay, and so these technology companies, they are not stopping. They are investing in so many different areas. And also your self-driving cars, the transportation industry. Transportation is absolutely massive. So just think about if Google or Apple or Facebook, mainly Google, I'm thinking in my head, Google, maybe they come up with really advanced AI because they were one of the first to come out with this self-driving car, right? So they could apply that same AI to other transportation industries, like the railroad industry or the shipping industry or the airplane industry, right? There's billions of dollars there, not just for like, you know, consumers, for commercial, billions of dollars. So these companies are everywhere. And so with the Emoji Movie, going back to the Emoji Movie, so despite these really horrible ratings, people are spending money, you know, their kids want to watch it, you know, and so I don't know. I don't know, you know, I'm sorry, I just don't have a lot of faith in the actual entire movie industry, the big movie industry as a whole, because they are so limited, and it's not really just their fault because the consumers are the one paying for this movie, you know. I mean, if they're spending money on things like the Emoji Movie or Transformers, you know, they're continually spending more money on that than movies like Dunkirk, then guess what they're going to keep making? They're going to keep making more movies that make them the most money. And these are highly profitable, especially for the low budget comedy movies. You know, they're extremely low budget. And so those are my thoughts on the actual news today. First, the Roomba vacuum, potentially selling your data in the future. The CEO saying he's not, but you never know. The actual more details on the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. And right now, in my opinion, it is the most exciting smartphone that is coming out in the near future. And then also the Emoji Movie. You know what? This movie is going to make more money than Valerian. So Rose is saying Games of Thrones spend as much money as a movie. Yes, Rose, but Games of Thrones, and like what you said, the other shows that you mentioned, they're actually good. And so Clayton Coffee asks, did you hear about the asteroid that almost blew up Earth? Not really, Clayton. Are you saying another asteroid went by the Earth? Because, I mean, it looks like you pay attention to that as well. There's constantly the Earth. I mean, so I'm done with talking about the main news today. So let's go ahead and get into some bonus stuff. You know, we would just talk about whatever. And so let's talk about asteroids, okay? Because when I remember watching Armageddon, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, there's so much stuff out there in space, okay? And there's asteroids that like fly by, just barely fly by the Earth all the time. And okay, so if you think about asteroids, it doesn't have to be the size of a moon, okay, to destroy the Earth. If there is an asteroid, let's just say there's an asteroid the size of Texas, okay, and in space, there's asteroids of all sizes. Like I said, they're going through our solar systems all the time. And so if there was an asteroid the size of Earth, if I remember correctly, if it hit Earth, it would destroy our whole planet. And what do I mean by that? Well, the impact, we're talking about super volcanoes as well. When the asteroid, and correct me if I'm wrong, when an asteroid hits Earth, right, the amount of ashes, okay, and also the destruction that it'll cause to the actual structure of the Earth, it will actually block out all the sun because of all the ashes, right? So you would not get sunlight because of that. Okay, that's one thing. And then also, if you think about it, the impact is large enough and strong enough to change the gravitational pull, because the moon is very important to the gravitation that we have on our Earth, okay? And so if you think about just those two things alone, all right, ash blocking the sun, affecting the gravitational pull, and also at the same time, you have to think about the oceans that cover the Earth as well. You know, it's having a huge impact. It's changing the structure of the Earth, okay? And so at that time, it'll also change other things around our environment. So let's take the simple example of the damage is so hard that it blocks out the sun, okay? Let's just take that as an example. And that would be something that Rose just mentioned super volcanoes can do as well. Because we have tectonic plates underneath that's constantly shifting. There's volcanoes underground in the oceans all the time, okay? And so if we had changes, even like slight temperature changes in our ecosystems changes things. So if you had something that cataclysmic, then not only would you not have plants that would use the sunlight to get photosynthesis, we cannot breathe because we require plants to actually clean up our air, convert the carbon dioxide, right, just to clean that so then it's oxygen where we could breathe, and then also our oceans as well. And so it's like a domino effect, you know. So if you, like, I mean, I love like nature and stuff when I was a kid. And so if you think about even something simple as invasive species, okay, like different species of fish or animals coming into your native country, think of how much damage it does to that region. And so if an asteroid hit the Earth, that would be the end of our civilization. I mean, even if you were to build stuff underground, you know, that's going to take a lot more work. And if it's something that large and it has a wide effect, it's going to affect you not just at the surface level as well. And so I didn't pay attention to that, Clayton, but I do know at any point in time, asteroids can actually destroy civilization on this planet. And that has happened before, obviously during the whole prehistoric age, during the dinosaurs, right? That's what destroyed that whole civilization or all those species at that time. So the same thing happened there. A huge asteroid hit the Earth. Once again, all the ashes, all the destruction, like I said, the domino effect, and civilization ended, you know? And so this could happen again. And not only would it affect our air, it would also affect our temperature. If you think about the ice age as well. And so there is many things that can happen. And unfortunately, to be realistic, it's not like Armageddon where you could just shoot missiles or send astronauts. I'm not sure how they would fix that, you know, but since it is in space, there is, you know, it would be, maybe you could like shoot something and it would just push it out away just a little bit and then slightly miss the Earth. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but honestly, if an asteroid did come and it hit the Earth, yeah, it would be the end of civilization. Not to be morbid, because we don't have any spaceships out there on Earth all the time monitoring things, okay, or super missiles out there on orbit making sure no asteroids come in. And so, and a lot of times, as you know, Clayton, a lot of times these asteroids, we don't detect them early enough, okay? So by the time we see them, they're too close for the Earth, and so there's no way you could like, let's go ahead and fix this right now. It's not like that. And so, yeah, I think about that sometimes as well. It's kind of scary, though. Yeah, they didn't see it until it already passed. Yeah, Clayton, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So super volcanoes are getting very active lately. One in Italy and Yellowstone. Yeah, Rose, that's a great point. Because if I remember correctly, the largest super volcano in the world, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, is Yellowstone National Park. That can erupt at any moment. And if it does, that will destroy the Earth and civilization. So it's either going to be an asteroid or something happening in our own core of our Earth, you know, underneath it, you know. And, you know, they've already been scientific predictions. You know, we have constantly shifting tectonic plates. And so they've already predicted that California will break off, you know, become its own island in the future. So if you remember a lot of the geography of planet Earth when it first started, all the continents, they were part of the Pangea continent, you know, until through all the tectonic plate shifting, they broke off and became the continents that we know of today, you know, but things are constantly changing. Some islands, let's just say Japan, a few thousand years from now, I'm just predicting it won't exist anymore. You know, it just won't, okay? The sea levels, ocean levels, it will just cover that small island. Now, I have been to Tokyo, but mainly I was just at the airport. But they know that this is coming, okay? So they also build artificial land masses as well. And also, if I remember correctly, if you think about, is it Dubai, right? Dubai, they have built artificial islands as well. It's called the World. You know, so Dubai has done that as well. So it is possible for humans with the current technologies that we have to build artificial islands, okay? And we haven't built underwater civilizations yet. You know, I think the last time the underwater, only 20% of it has actually been explored, if I'm not mistaken. And so there's still other places that humans can live, but there's things that we can't control. Asteroid, super volcanoes, okay, or sea levels increasing constantly. You know, there's certain things that you can't control. And like I said, if we did have an asteroid or a super volcano, you know, that's the end of our civilization. So hopefully that doesn't happen in our lifetime, but it is a possibility. And let me see, there was a question earlier about Linux, and I think that was from Lance. It's probably gone right now, and so let me see. No, that was actually from Lewis Angel. All right, so Lewis is saying I use Linux for 18.2, my HP Pavilion 2006 laptop. It works nicely. At the end of this year, I will get a new laptop. Yeah, you know, I did mention on my last episode, I did upgrade my version to Linux Mint 18.2. I have a new kernel 14.8, and it's absolutely amazing how, you know, with just a software upgrade, your hardware runs better, you know. And so it's really cool that because of software, you can still, specifically Linux, you can still extend the life of your hardware. And that's something that's really amazing, you know. And I think like really people that actually only use Windows or Apple, that they're not used to that, okay? Because I think for a lot of Windows and Apple users, it's like, oh man, my computer is getting slow, and you know, I have to get a new computer. And then when you upgrade to the new version of the operating system, it actually slows down your computer even more. And so, because the software is not optimized for your hardware anymore. And we've heard about this, you know, planned obsolescence, you know. And so Linux proves that your hardware can still run for a lot longer periods of time. So we got Big Daddy. Hey, what's going on, Big Daddy? And cool. And so so Rose asking, so any new Linux programs have you tried lately? I don't know if I would say new, Rose. I'm actually exploring some existing programs that I have used before, and I might do some future episodes on that as well. So I have mentioned this many times. I myself, I am a general Linux user. I use it for day-to-day stuff. I don't really distro hop, and my channel, as you know, I am a geek variety channel. So I am not a Linux channel. And so a lot of people who come to my channel, they are looking for Linux stuff, and I do have that. I have like over 100 Linux videos, but that's really not what I do. Okay, that's not the main thing that I do, even though it's very important to my channel. Like for example, Big Daddy just got on. He is specifically a Linux channel. And so for a lot of people who are looking just for Linux specific stuff, I will point them to channels like Big Daddy, or I'll point them to QuidSup, or my favorite Linux channel is Joe Collins. He's my favorite. If you haven't seen his channel, go check it out. I'll watch Lenny's channel. There's so many other wonderful Linux channels out there, or the Linux Gamer, you know. And so, but I absolutely love Linux, as you know, but that is not the main thing on my channel. So a lot of times, as you see in my channel, I don't really do a lot of like new Linux stuff. Okay, I don't do that many Linux news related stuff. Every now and then I do. But I don't do that many Linux related news. I definitely do not do Linux distribution reviews, because that is not what I do. Every now and then I might, but like as you can see through my channel, it's rare for me to do it. And also, I don't really try out a lot of new Linux software, okay? Because for myself, like I said, I have a variety channel, and Linux for me, I love Linux. And so for me, even with just my daily use, there's so many things that I could talk about. And so a lot of times when you see my Linux videos, it's stuff that I use, you know, it's stuff that I know, that I share knowledge. I'm not an expert on it, but you know, your expertise varies on your experience. But I share what I know, I share what I enjoy, and I share what I use pretty much every single day. And if there is something that I'm using or I've learned that I think other people would benefit from, then you see it on my channel. You know, and then if there are other channels that do it better than me, and there always is going to be channels that do it better than you, then I point to them, you know. Or if there's something else that's interesting, other Linux channel, other technology channels, I mention on my videos, you know. And so for myself, there's a lot of opportunities out there in Linux. There's so many different perspectives. There's so much knowledge on there. So we don't, you know, we shouldn't limit ourselves to that, you know. So if there's something that's better, there's somebody that's doing it better, there's some place that you can learn more from, I point it out, you know. But for me, these are the things that I enjoy, that I know. And so Gaza M says, you do you. I like the balance. Yeah, I do me. That's right. Rose, you have a lot of retro games. Yes. And so if you look at my channel, like I said, it is a geek variety channel, but for people who are watching this for the first time, and you might have seen my intro video, but if you're really not too familiar with what I have, I'm a variety channel. And so I have Linux stuff, I have movies and entertainment, I have video games, okay, and I also have technology geeky news, okay. And for some people who are coming to my channel, if you are a YouTube creator, you understand this. There's different angles that you can approach your YouTube channel. For some people, it's better to focus on a focused channel. For example, if you have a purely Linux channel, I can guarantee you, if you start out with a channel that's focused purely on one main subject, you will grow faster than a variety channel. Unless your content sucks, okay? If your content sucks, it doesn't matter what you put out. It's gonna suck, okay? So that's one approach, okay? The other approach is you can have a variety channel. But to me, there's two main types of variety channels. There's one variety channel where you just do whatever, right? One day you could have vlogs. The next day you could be talking about a tech review. The next day you're doing a movie review. So it's kind of all over the place. And usually those type of variety channels, and if you could just look on YouTube yourself and you see this. This is something that pretty much all YouTube creators know or they're doing themselves. So if you look at those variety channels where it's all over the place, and this usually happens when it's a new channel because they're trying to figure out what works best for their audience. Normally those channels don't do well, because your audience is coming for a certain type of thing. And also, if you think it from the back end, Google, it's YouTube, it's a search engine. So there's a lot of SEO behind the scenes. It categorizes everything as well. It also looks at the demographics that's actually watching your videos. So it looks at the type of people who are watching, the ages and everything else. And so if it's all over the place, the algorithms, they're not going to do as great of a job pushing your content, right? So it's harder for it to recommend stuff. Okay, so that's my opinion, and I work on the back end as well. I do YouTube ads as well. Okay, and then that was, there's another area of variety channels, and if you're a content creator, please pitch in as well. But there's another area of variety channel as well, which is what I do. And so I have a variety channel, but I have focused variety. So similar to you having one area of focus, which I will say once again, if you have one area of focus and you produce great content that people actually enjoy, you will grow faster, hands down. Okay, you will. But if you have, like myself, I have a focused variety channel. So if you notice, I only have my content, it's going to be in one of these categories. It's going to be either Linux, movies and entertainment, video games, or geek news. Okay, and every now and then, part of that geeky stuff, I do tech reviews as well. And so for me, my growth is more long-term. And if you notice on my channel, I approach my channel more as a business. Okay, so I do things that I enjoy. Definitely, that's number one. If I don't enjoy doing it, I'm not doing it. Secondly, I do want to create content that my audience likes as well. Gaza, thank you so much. We'll talk to you next week, and I will answer the other questions. And secondly, I do want to create content that my audience enjoys as well. So it's also a collaborative effort. But also, there's a business end to it as well. Because everybody, I think, in my opinion, everybody wants to do something they enjoy and make money off of it, so then they could do this as a lifestyle. Not only, I've said it way before, not only to take care of themselves, but take care of their family and do something that they enjoy as well. All right, thank you so much for joining, guys. We'll see you next week. And so that's my approach. I take a long-term approach. It is a variety channel, which is focused. It is related to things that I enjoy, but also it's collaborative with my audience, and it has a business end to it as well. Because as you see my channel, I do advertising on my channel, not only from Google ads, but I have my own advertising with products that I like, which I use. And so for my audience, if that's something that they do not enjoy, if they don't like the business end of it, or maybe they don't like this type of piece of content, then if you are a YouTube content creator, your audience is very important. Okay, so for me, I would rather not have people who are not okay with that. I don't want them as part of the audience. So if you don't like the variety of content, or you don't like ads, you don't like marketing, then you're probably not somebody I want to watch my videos or be part of my audience, okay? Because, and Rose said, and I'm gonna explain to you why, okay? Because Rose said, let me see, Rose said, last week you talked about entrepreneurship creativity chat, which was fun. Yes, Rose, I love talking about that. We're talking about that right now. Clayton's asking, what's percentage of Linux users that view your channel? In terms of percentage, Clayton, I don't have exactly hard numbers, but more than likely, just by looking at the data, if you are a content creator, you will spend time looking at your Google Analytics. Actually, I look at a lot of stuff. Like I said, I do digital marketing behind the scene. So for me, I'm looking at YouTube analytics, I'm looking at Google analytics. I also do Facebook ads, I do Amazon ads. And so I look at a lot of analytics. But from just a general, I would say 85% of my viewers are people who enjoy Linux. Okay. And so, and I know that because I look at which videos people are watching. And I also know that a lot of videos that are recommended, they're Linux channels. So other Linux channels are recommending my videos and I'm being recommended on their video channel. So if you know how Google works, once again, underneath, it is a search engine. So there is a lot of SEO underneath and all the algorithms works off of that. You know, it works off of your SEO. It works off of the people watching your videos. It looks at other related videos. And when you are doing when you're doing YouTube, I'm sorry, you're looking at the content that gives you the most return, most ROI. And for me, the videos that gives me the most ROI are my Linux videos. But I'm not a Linux channel, so I don't do Linux videos all the time. Normally, you only see me do 1 or 2 a week. But I have other videos, and so there's other things that I enjoy. And so I think Rose was talking about, yeah, the business end of it. And so, yeah, if you look at like my YouTube channel, and then if you ever go to my website, geekoutdoors.com, there is a business end to it as well. But the first thing I always focus on is the content. Always, always, always the content. And if you are a content creator, and I know this sounds really cliche, but if you are building a business, okay, you always want to focus on building value, okay? Meaning building something, creating something that will give value to people, and then obviously you'll get value back in return. And that's the same for any business, okay? Let's go back to the example of smartphones, right? Well, why do people buy iPhones and Samsung besides their amazing marketing? It's because people actually get value out of these products and services that they're buying. And so since they're getting value out of it, i.e. they'll give money in return, and i.e. they will give more money in the future as well, okay? So Big Daddy's asking, Go, have you done video on SEO, or can you talk about how to do it better? I don't, Big Daddy, because that's really not a part of my channel. But as I mentioned to Rose last week and other people who were on the live chat, that if you become my subscriber, or you could connect to my Snapchat, I do more personal stuff there, and I do talk about what I do behind the scenes. You know, and so most of my Geek Outdoor stuff, it's not really about that. And to be honest with you, Big Daddy, your channel is doing great. You know, I mean, your content's strong. You get a lot of engagement and you get a lot of views. And so, you know, and your subscriber count keeps growing, you know, but as you know, there's many other things going on underneath. And so I think for people who have never ever been a content creator, normally, let me tell you what they look at. And I might be wrong on this, but being a content creator, we see what happens underneath. So the majority of times, when people look at a YouTube channel, what are the first things that they look at? First, subscriber count. That's number 1. Number 2, they look at the type of content that you have, okay? And then number 3, they kind of look at the engagement that you have, okay? And so, you know, if, like I said, if you wanted to pitch in on this, you can as well. And so those are the 3 things that they look at. And a lot of times people equate subscriber count and also view counts on their videos as a form of success, okay? And that is true to a certain extent. If you didn't have views, people would not know what your videos are, okay? But there are things that are more important as well underneath it. So in my opinion, and I'm not a big channel, okay? But in my opinion, when you first start out a YouTube channel, the most important thing that you need is views, because you need attention, okay? And attention is pretty much the most, I guess, the most highly valued thing in our whole marketing space. Anywhere you go, attention, attention, attention. Go to Facebook, it's about attention. Instagram, owned by Facebook. Snapchat, Google, it doesn't matter what platform you're on. Amazon, attention is the single most important thing. Okay, and so when you're starting out your YouTube channel, getting views is the most important, okay? But as you gain an audience, which is the most important thing, you want to gain an audience. Why? Because you're building a business. That's what YouTube really is. It's teaching you how to build a business. If you've ever built a business, it's very similar to YouTube. When you, like for example, I had a physical business. When I opened up my physical business the first time, right? I needed to get attention. Same thing as what you do in YouTube. So you need to do marketing. You need to do advertising. So if you're old enough to remember, when you had physical businesses, you would advertise on newspapers, in the classifieds, okay? Or maybe you would advertise your business on the yellow pages. So similarly, in the whole digital world, and specifically in the YouTube space, you need attention at the beginning, okay? And then after you get attention, guess what? You need videos, you need content. Because if somebody goes to your channel and they just see 10 videos, but you only update once a month, they're not gonna come back, you know, because just like your TV shows, right? Would you watch a TV show if it only released new episodes once every 3 months? Probably not. That's why they have daily shows, that's why they have weekly shows. So it borrows a lot of that from the entertainment industry. So second is content, okay, the type of content you have. And then as you build more and more of your audience, as you get into the long term, to me, the number of views, okay, is still important, but it's not as important. What's more important is the retention time. How much time to actually spend watching your videos. And that is something that you, as a people who watch it as a viewer, you cannot see. But that's something as a content creator, we can see through our analytics. Okay, and so if you look at your analytics, and you know, if you do YouTube, you'll see this. You can look at your retention time, and you can see when they drop off. There's a percentage of time that they actually watch your video. And so as you do this more and more long term, the most important metric in the end is not your subscribers, it's not your view count, it's your retention time. Okay, because the longer that you watch a video from a business point of view, the longer you are on YouTube, the longer the more opportunities YouTube, i.e. Google, can sell ads to you. And the ads are purchased by people like myself. The ads are purchased by businesses. They are spending money to show ads on YouTube. And so the longer you stay on YouTube, the more revenue and profit they could generate from the money they're investing in their ads. That's how YouTube works, but that's also how Facebook works, how Snapchat works, how Twitter works. All platforms work the same. So that's why it's so important at the beginning, just like a business, get attention. Once you get the audience, once you have the content, you need to keep people in your business, okay? I know it's kind of long-winded, but that is really the whole model of how things work. If you've ever worked in marketing and advertising sales, if you've ever done analytics, you would completely see what I'm talking about, okay? So Justin Bieber baby has a whole lot of views, but it's the worst video on YouTube. Yeah, but he's making millions of dollars. So it's kind of hard, you know. I mean, and you know, going back to the YouTube content, you know, it's different types of content you can make. You know, you can make shock value content, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you're making money. Okay, if you look on stories, there's YouTubers that have over 500,000 subs, but they're not making any money. They have to work a part-time job. Because if you do not think about the business component of your YouTube channel, then it's going to be hard for you to continually make content because you need money to live. Okay, so if you're spending all this time, but you're not thinking about the business end of it, then it's going to be hard to live. For me, as I said earlier, my Geek Outdoors channel, for me, you know, for me, I enjoy educating, I enjoy entertaining, and I love the entrepreneurship side. So I like having all three of those. And so I view YouTube not only as a personal outlet for creativity and connecting with other people, but I see it truly as a long-term business that can truly really be real, okay? Because I mentioned this in the last video, YouTube is the best form of marketing. It uses inbound marketing. And if you're not familiar with what inbound marketing is, there's two different types of marketing in general, okay? There's many types, but there's outbound marketing and then there's inbound marketing. Outbound marketing is the type of marketing that we are used to. Somebody calls you on the phone or sends you a text or sends you an email. Hey, I got this product or service I want to sell to you. They're coming to you to sell their products or services. That's outbound marketing. Okay, that's how it's been done for a long time. Billboards, outbound marketing. Yellow pages, outbound marketing. You're actively going out looking for customers. Okay, whereas in inbound marketing, especially in the digital world, you are having people coming to you. So let me give you an example. My channel or any other YouTube channels. That's why SEO is so important, right? That's why the type of video you're creating is so important. So say you create a Linux video, right? Well, people are searching for Linux videos. And so you did not have to go out and look for Linux people. People are actively searching for you. So they're coming to you. That is inbound marketing. They're coming inbound. They're coming to you. And so that is the new model of marketing. And that goes into a whole other space. You know, if you really spend time learning about digital marketing, in the whole trend of inbound marketing, you have different stages. You have an awareness stage, you have a trust stage, and then after a while, you eventually lead to the sales stage, you know, and then you'll be long-term customers. So this is in the marketing world, especially in the digital space, this is called a funnel. So this is how you get people into your business and build a relationship with them, okay? So business in the modern age, it's not so much about let me sell you something, okay? Because nobody likes to be sold anymore. Now, especially young people, millennials, they definitely do not like to be sold. But more and more people like to be, I would say, given value first, okay? Inbound marketing. So that's how it works, okay? And that is one of the main things that I focus on my channel. You know, like I said, I love to educate, I love to entertain, but I love the entrepreneurship end as well, okay? And so inbound marketing, look it up if you want to know what that really is. Okay, and so so Rose says, I was drawn to your channel because of the number of videos you made and my subscription to other little chats drawn to Geek. Big Daddy, thanks for the stream. Go have a great day. No problem, Big Daddy. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this stream, y'all. It's been over an hour. Goodbye. Goodbye, Big Daddy. Thanks for joining. And so yeah, if you had any thoughts on what we discussed today, leave it in the comments area below. And once again, for everybody who's joined, old regulars and new, thank you so much for joining. And if you did want to you know, leave a like and subscribe, you got value out of it, that'd be awesome. And as always, if you did want to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/geekoutdoors. We'll see you on another live episode.